So in the last lab, we have explored the services related to AWS. At the basic level, we provisioned the S3 bucket, and then we had provisioned an EC2 compute resource. We have seen how to create them, then change the permissions or settings of it, and then in the end we had seen that how to delete that. Okay, we are now at the interface of the Microsoft Azure. We are going to do pretty much same things in here, but we will actually see how the things differ in various cloud platforms. So that's why we are here in the Microsoft Azure, and this is the first look or first interface of Microsoft Azure. Inside it there are also many services that are there, and you don't need to know about every service in the Microsoft Azure. Okay, so we will look at the virtual machines. In here it is called as VM, virtual machine, and in the AWS it was called as the EC2 instances. In the same way, we can create the storage accounts in here, just like we had provisioned the S3 buckets. So we can create a storage accounts to store up to 500 TB of the data in the cloud. So let's see how we can do that. If we are interested in the categories, we can see that from here. These are the favorite things. So this first look is called as the dashboard. Okay, so if we need to see the services that Azure is providing to its user, you can click on the all services button, and then you will see it will show you all the services in various categories, just like AWS. Okay, so the favorites are obviously the virtual machine that comes at the top in here, and the storage account like S3 buckets that is present in here. So if I open the VMs, virtual machines, to see how many VMs exist till now, so there are none actually, because no VM has been provisioned since till now. So what we can do is we can create the VM, but for right now, if we go to all services and click on the storage accounts, you can see that this is the interface of storage accounts. You can click on the create button to create some storage accounts. Okay, so one more thing that you can do is you go to the all services, and if you are not interested in the storage account but the date services related to store the data, you can go in here and provision whatever service that you want. Sometimes we provision a compute resource like the VM, then we install the related database like SQL or PostgreSQL or any database. Then we have to create the setup over there by our own self, and then we have the responsibility to manage the VM and the database or the service that we have deployed. But if you are only want to use this, I think that is a better idea that you outsource the administrative overhead of managing the virtual machine as well to the cloud vendor, and just click here and it will instantly deploy the SQL server, just like we had done last time in the AWS, where we deployed the compute instance, but that is a scratch. You have to deploy the other related services on that as well. So you can pick anyone from here and you can deploy it. This is Cosmos DBs. You can click on the create button and then we can deploy it. Okay, so the next concept is about the networking. Networking is a very critical part of any infrastructure, because this network is a basic thing that connects everything with you or among themselves, and we don't have the physical access to routers and the switches present in this cloud environment or the cloud data center. So how can we do that? We need to create a virtual network. So all of this is related to software defined networking. You will click on the virtual networks. Right now you see that no virtual network exists also, so you can create a virtual network and manage all the network traffic of your infrastructure. Also you can correlate them with some network security products like this. If you are going to deploy a web application, it is a better idea to deploy a firewall, web application firewall as well, to monitor the ingress and egress traffic. So this is pretty much from the introduction. So let's go back to the home, and this is the home page again. And this is an important thing in Azure. You first have to create a resource group. Resource group actually combines all the resources in a single package. For example, this VM and this database and this virtual network should be there to combine all these three things. And if you are using the cloud for more than one things, you can create another resource group to get a nice feel of isolation among them. So you need to create a resource group as well, and that we are going to see when we are going to provision a VM. Okay, and there it will ask us to create a resource group if that is not there previously. Okay, if I go back to home, in here you can see that there is a thing called as dashboard. Okay, and this is actually the dashboard in here. So while managing the resources through Microsoft Azure, it gives you the dashboard feel that what you want to be or show on your desktop, so that you can quickly access them. All the things you can create click here and create the dashboard by yourself, a new dashboard, and you can, for example, have the hundreds of VMs and hundreds of DBs. You can select the appropriate ones to just show them over here. Create a diary. Okay, we'll click on create a resource. Okay, this is where we will look at how to create this. Let's create here, create, and now you see that it has various options for us. For example, you have deployed the SQL. You can click here and you can create a dashboard to monitor the health of the VMs as well, or how much over provisioning is happening, or which resources are at the peak. You can do that from here. You can create a custom as well if you have something in your mind, the really customized one. Otherwise you can use the dashboards that exists there already. Okay, so now I think it's time to see how we can provision a virtual machine in the Microsoft Azure. So you click on the virtual machines, it will show you it like this. You can click on this button or click on this button to create the VM. So let's create a virtual machine. So we have clicked on a virtual machine. So it is again in front of us with pretty much different options, and these are almost the same like that we have in the AWS. So you have to select two things in here. If you first have to like tell them which subscription you are using, then we need to select the resource group under which this VM will work. Okay, the resource group is a requirement. Then we can set any name here, like first Azure VM. Okay, so it says that we cannot have spaces in here like this. Okay, so this is the name. Then again we can select the regions. Okay, there are various regions that are there in this list, and we can select the country where we want this virtual machine to be, and then in that country there would be more than one availability zones present. Okay, so you can click on the availability zone. Okay, and they have, let's say, 3 zones. You can select any one of them. Also, if you want to make it redundant and make it highly available, you can deploy the same VMs to more than one areas, and then use another service to that is of, let's say, load balance, to manage the peak hours or the load of the clients. Then the most important concept is here. Just like AWS, it has also hundreds of images present in here. We just don't need to download from anywhere and use them. We can select anyone from here that like we want to use this as latest one. The architecture, processor architecture, if you have some specific objective in your mind, you can select the ARM or Intel based on your preference. Again, the size is here. The size includes CPUs and memory. That is not included the storage in here. Storage will be considered as a separate thing. Okay, so you can select from here which one you want to use. So if you want to have a public access, you need want to connect using SSH to this VM, you need to select this SSH public key, and for that you need to generate a key pair. Okay, generate new, existing if you have. Okay, or if you have existing public key, you can also use that. From here you have created the key pair. If right now we have not created, and when we'll click on the review and create, this option will trigger that generate new key pair, and it will ask us to create the key pair, because that is a necessity to connect with this machine using SSH. Which services you wanna allow here, like web or SSH, you can select that. Okay, and also if you will select here that there are no inbounds, no communication is allowed, you will set it to none, but we don't want that. Okay, and then like this, and if you would like come here on the disk section, from here you can select the type of disk. So commonly the disks that we use in our PCs is SSD or HDD, right? SSD is have a fast access, but it is a little expensive, and for long-term data storage SSDs are not recommended. Okay, but in terms of cloud, they are providing us various features like premium SSD, standard SSD. What that means is that we need the clients to manage. Okay, we need clients to manage, so we will have a different requests per second activity, right? So, or we just want to store the data, right? So in cloud, number of transactions to access or read or write from the DBs actually differs based on the price, right? So you need more redundant or highly available. So these are also the classification for OS disk types. So we are not going to change them too much in here. If you have some disk already created, you can add that from here. Again, from the networking perspective, you will have to create a virtual network if you don't have already. Right now it has created an virtual network for us, because that is a requirement for this machine to be connected to the any network. We'll see these options in our next labs, but for now I'm just showing you. We are quickly hovering through these things. Okay, so monitoring facility, then you can add the tags as well. Okay, then we click on the review plus create. This will actually tell us the cost, that this is the cost associated with the machine that I have selected. Okay, and then there are some things that I have to provide them. It's saying that your SSH is open to the internet. Again, we need to either close the open access by disabling the port 22, or we can configure them by using the firewall rule to monitor the traffic to this SSH, or we can only specify that okay, these two systems in the whole globes are allowed to connect with this VM. We can also set that. For now I think it's good. I can click the create button. So as we had seen that we need to create a new key pair for SSH, so it has created for us. Okay, so it says that download the private key. So if I will click here, it will download me a private key, and through that I can SSH into this machine and connect with it. The file is downloaded. Now it is initializing deployment. The first virtual machine is now being deployed in the Microsoft Azure. So here we have our virtual machine with us. Okay, so for now let's go to the all resources. Go to the compute and we go to the virtual machines to see the virtual machines that we had just created. So it will take a little time for the deployment. You can see that the deployment is in progress. So once it will deploy it, that will come in here, and until it deploy, I think that we should create a storage account as well. From here you just need to click the create button. The deployment has been succeeded, so you can also pin that to dashboard, or you can go to the resource section and you can see the various things from that. We are going to see that in a moment, but for right now, as I have opened the storage account, I can see that how I can create the storage account from here. Okay, the process is again the simple one. You have to select a resource group where you want this to be. Then you have to specify a name. So I say that storage first. So the field contain only lowercase letters. Storage and first. And I can't use this. Okay, storage first is already taken, so let's add another word, storage first demo. So as it is a storage account, what kind of access do we need? If you need a low latency quick request, that your request must be quickly processed, go for the premium. Okay, you need the redundancy, you can select here. Okay, that if my disk goes down, other should take its place. So right now I will go to the standard. And redundancy, we have several options related to redundancy, what kind of redundancy that we need. Okay, and that is pretty much it. So we can either move to the next thing and set the other settings for it, like the advanced networking or data protection. Okay, these are the services that are there. I want to encrypt it or not. I go to the basics, and then I can click on the review if you want to go to with the basic settings. Okay, so here you can see that it is showing me all the things. Okay, I have the review if I'm ready to create this or not. So if I will click on the create button, it is quickly going to initialize the deployment, and now I have deployed 2 services correctly. So as we have provisioned the resource already, so I can assume that my virtual machine would be there. Also, if the deployment is in progress, if I go to the all resources, so you can see that it has created a network security group, VM. Okay, then there is a public IP address also associated with the machine and virtual network. Okay, these are the 4 things that are there for the Azure virtual machine. Also it has an associated disk and the VM key. I have the other key, VM key, with me, and I can use that to connect with it. So this is a resource group, and we can see all the resources from here. If I go to resources again, now I will have this storage first demo as well. If you want to see the list, I go to here, all resources, and now here you can see that the storage account has also been added in here, which is storage first demo. Okay, and if I click here, first Azure virtual machine, it will show me the details of my virtual machine, and I can even edit or manage all those settings through here. Okay, like this. So either I want to restart it or stop it or anything that I want to do, I can do it. Let's say if I click on the restart button and I want to restart this virtual machine, it will take its own time and then will restart the machine. So we have this storage account as well. So if I click on the storage account, you see that I can also change the various options related to storage account as well. Okay, so if I say that I want to upload something in here, because it is a storage account and it is meant to store the data. Okay, I go here and then let's say I click on the upload button. So from here you can upload the data, but before that we need to create a container that will hold that data. So I'll click on the create new. Okay, and I'll have to name it something. Okay, I say that it is my public container where I will save all the public things. Okay, so you have to set its access level, who can access it. Only the private users or the blob or the container users can only access it. Okay, click on OK. Now I have the container created with me. Okay, and I have selected this public container. If I want to create new, I can do that. Now I just need to click on browse and I can add the files in here. Okay, so this is all about this Azure lab. We have again created the storage account and then we have created the VM as well. We can change the settings to this resource, the provisioned resource. Like it provides you a really in-depth customization of this whole thing, so you can do that. Now for now, if I go back to my all resources, these are all my resources in here. I can check all these resources, and if I want to delete all of these, I will click on the delete button. Okay, and then you say apply force delete for selected virtual machine and virtual machine scale sets. If you want to delete everything, click yes and press the delete button. Now it is deleting all these resources from here. So you can see that it is deleting the resources, right? So it is deleting the resources. So once it will done, we are not going to see anything in here. So this is all about the introduction to the Microsoft Azure. You go to this, create an account in here, and then provision some resources, look at some services that they are providing, and familiarize yourself with the basic things. And once you'll know that how to provision some resource, then the next task would be how to we can configure them, or we can advance our level of knowledge in this Microsoft Azure. Okay, if I click here, it say that executing delete command on 8 selected items. Okay, so that's all for the today, and we have done with 2 AWS and Microsoft Azure. And now in the next video I will going to show you how you can do the same things on Google Cloud Platform. The purpose is really same. Provision a VM, provision a storage account or anything, and then try to use it. Okay, so if you have trouble understanding something, you can ask me and I'll help you out. And let's jump to the next video. Okay, thank you very much. See you soon.